Hello everyone. Thursday, September 30, and I'm back from New York City in quiet Santa Fe. I like big cities, maybe I'm crazy too, or it suits me, whatever. But we have to know where we're at, it's important. Some people just could not cope with being even for one day in New York City. And so how do you know where it's right for you to be, whether it's a relationship, for work, where you live? Your own mind is the main thing, but depending on depending on where we're at in our own mind, depending on how fragile we feel, depending on how difficult things are, we have to choose right environments. It's so important. Don't just think it's your mind only. So if you're in a relationship and it's just really too difficult for you, you don't blame yourself, you don't blame the other person, but you realize it's too difficult, and so you say, I'm out of here. It's the best thing. If you're you decide to live someplace, but the noise is really loud outside, don't just blame yourself and say, oh, I should be working on it and should be patient. No, you find a way to get an environment that works for you. You can always be complaining. You have to see your mind. You can always finding fault with something. That's not helpful. But if you've got to know what you can handle. It's extremely important. And I think we don't have that awareness. I kind of joke, but don't joke when I talk about something like 40% of all women who get murdered on this planet are murdered by the bloke in the same bed. And this is not against men, honestly, or against relationships. It just shows how utterly we lack awareness of our own mind and what we can handle, where we're at, what we can, what we can handle, really. So if we have that awareness, we can make wise choices, choose the right job, choose the right relationship. It's incredibly important. So, the brave bodhisattvas, they've done the work. They're incredibly courageous, and that's what they mean by courageous. They can handle the most outrageous environments. It's grist for their mill, they don't want to live in the mountains under the trees. How boring. That's the retreat mode. That's where you do the inner work. But then once you've done the inner work, you come down to the cities where the people need us. Cities where so many people are, So it's important. Know where you're at and what you can handle. And then don't blame yourself and don't blame the other person, but you make wise decisions. It's extremely important.